Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt and this is the Dodge Hornet, and there's somebody behind the camera that's going to be very familiar to you on the channel.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Yeah, we've got Paolo back, and just like Paolo being familiar to the channel, this is going to be very familiar to any of you that watched last week's video where we were in the Alfa Romeo Tonale. But this is the Dodge Hornet, and we're going to show you everything that you need to know. The first thing is the fact that this has a lot of the same bones as not only the Alfa Romeo, but it actually rides on the same or an adapted chassis of the Jeep Compass. And it has an incredibly similar interior to the Alfa Romeo that we were in last week. So it shares the same bones as the Alfa, but it also shares the same heart, although not in this one. In the Alfa, we had the 1.3 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder plug-in hybrid capabilities, but what we have here is actually the base powertrain that you can't get in the Alfa. This is the Hurricane family 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, makes 268 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, and Paolo has something that he loves about this engine bay.
No, I just feel like this is going to be a breaking point for sure. This little plastic piece to open up your engine bay, it's like already almost coming off of this.
And then don't forget your hood scoop, which we'll talk about later. And it also still carries some Italian roots, though it's not the Alfa Romeo. You can see here on the door jamb on your VIN sticker, manufactured by FCA Italy, made in Italy. Also Italian is the pace that this thing carries. This is supposed to be one of the more sporty offerings in the segment, and it is 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds, which is pretty quick. And it's got all-wheel drive and the ZF 9-speed automatic transmission. So I said sportiest in this segment, so what is this thing competing against? Well, we have things like the Mazda CX30, we have the Toyota Corolla Cross, the Honda HR-V, the Hyundai Kona, and the Kia Niro. But to be honest, this and probably the Mazda CX30 are the only performance-oriented or sporty offerings. Everything else is more concerned with fuel economy and affordability, whereas this has a little bit more zesty personality. But of course, with big performance comes a bigger thirst from your engine. This is rated for about 21 mpg in the city and 29 on the highway, which is, it's not the most, but what do you expect? And let's talk about the look for a second. Now this is not Misano Blue, it's actually called Blue Bayou. It's a $500 option, and nothing makes you feel like a classier paint than something named after a swamp. But anyway, it's a Dodge after all, they love to have fun with the names. But I do like the fact that you get a completely unique face. The rest of the profile and the shape of the car is incredibly Alfa Romeo. It's shared between the two, but the face is uniquely Dodge. You have your Hornet LED running lights, you've got your hood scoops, which of course we tested earlier with our finger, and it's just a nice Dodge classic face. Around the side, we talk about the fact that you've got the upgraded wheels courtesy of the blacktop package, but you do have black wing mirrors, black window treatments. Again, the profile is incredibly Alfa Romeo, and especially when you get to this door piece right here, very Alfa. You even get this in the Stelvio, so very Alfa indeed. Around the back, very simple, like we had in the Alfa, full width LED tail bar with the Dodge logo lit up in the center here. The interesting thing, like we've been saying the whole time, this is the sport performance oriented one. No exposed exhaust. You have to go up to the RT to get that. Ultimately, I think it looks pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like the rear look of this and the 3/4 panel. I think I do prefer the Alfa just with that unique front. You kind of call it like a nose beak, but I think they both look really good. I think that they did a nice job with this.
And then we just touched on the blacktop package, which gets you all of these black accents, including your Hornet, and the $2,000 package also includes these wheels, which...
Yeah, we were just talking. We feel like black wheels can either look really good, really elegant, or kind of look like really cheap wheels, and I feel like they didn't do a good job here. I would much rather use that $2,000 and put it towards a new set of wheels if you actually really wanted something to get black. And it's pretty cheap to black out, you know, emblems and things like that.
Who's this helping right now?
Matt, can't you see what street we're on? It's
Bro,
so obvious.
How am I get to Wendy's like this? Who? Recenter. Oh, good. No, that's helpful though.
That is actually pretty cool.
I almost just called it the Alfa because it's very Alfa Romeo in here. If you remember from last week, this is almost a carbon copy of what we had in the Alfa Romeo. The only difference is some of the materials, you can see this kind of shaking a bit. The fit and finish, the build quality is not quite what it was in the Alfa. It is more reminiscent of Dodge, but there's also just a couple things that are different. For one, your start stop button and your drive mode selector, they've swapped places. So this was your DNA selector that you hated last week. Yeah. And then this was your start stop on the steering wheel. And of course, this is now the Dodge logo. And on the seat, your headrest, that's also embroidered Dodge. And then you don't have your mile-long paddle shifters back here, which you also didn't like, but I liked. And you also don't have the logo, a Dodge logo, embossed into your wireless charger. But other than that, it's basically the same.
I feel like the Alfa logo there did look really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like they moved over everything into this Hornet that they needed to make it like really nice, and
it does still feel very Alfa in here, which makes you feel like you got more for your money, I think.
Exactly, yeah. All the tech is basically the same, right? You just
100%.
I feel like the biggest thing that I noticed is the little LED.
Oh yeah, it doesn't have the light up panel.
The light up panel here, and to your point, the build material is just a little, like right here, you can kind of just see it.
Just makes a bunch of noises and shakes around, so. And of course, this is built by Stellantis, which is the king of Easter eggs, but there's really only one. It's a good one. You've got your Hornet here on the exterior front fender, but you've also got one hidden on the inside of your dash. It's kind of cool. This also comes with a tech package, which is $2,250, but with it, you get your adaptive cruise settings, which is actually pretty good. It keeps you in your lane nice. You do have to keep your hands on the wheel. It doesn't change lane for you, but it works pretty well, even through construction. You also do get 360 cameras, which I can't show you right now, but it has kind of a sloppy refresh rate. It's kind of jittery, so the shutter speed is a little off there, but you also do have park assist, parking sensors, and all that sort of stuff too. So $2,250 for the tech package, maybe worth it. Actually, no, not really. And then just general stuff, not necessarily involved in the tech package, but you do get some really nice features in here. You've got a fully digital instrument cluster here, which is very Audi. You can change it, what you see in your main screen, as well as in your right hand. You can't change the left hand, but personally, I don't really care. You don't get a head-up display, which I think is a bit odd in something that's the performance guy. And then you have a 10.25 inch screen, just about. This is a pretty nice system. You got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You do have performance pages, which will go into vehicle. And then you can see things like apparently your 360 camera, which is not what's supposed to be showing right now. How do you get out of there? You do get over-the-air updates. That's great. Performance. Here you go. Now you've got your turbo and torque. Interesting, torque in Newton meters, just like the Alfa. This is a Dodge. This is an American product. Why not have it in pound-feet?
Yeah, that is interesting.
And accessory gauges.
Too, right?
Yeah, they did. So temps for different things, because when you track your Hornet, you got to know that stuff.
Exactly.
And there's also some surprising luxury features in here. It's inherited by the inherent Alpha-ness, but you get things like heated and cooled seats. You get a heated steering wheel. You've got all of your windows, which are automatic up and down. You've got power liftgate, even if it does take a half hour for it to register that you're trying to close it. Some pretty nice stuff. But there is one Lux feature that is missing. It's the fact that you don't get a sunroof, but they kind of take care of it for you because you get a $615 credit for the removal of the sunroof. And the towing capacity is actually pretty good. I don't know who's towing with this thing or what they're towing, but you can tow up to 2,000 pounds with this thing, which is more than you can get in the CR-V and the RAV4, which are, of course, a step above this thing. So this thing's got some muscle in typical Dodge fashion. And then while we're back here, we might as well talk about the trunk. It is, of course, powered, which is fantastic. Now, this thing is actually 2.5 inches shorter than a Mazda CX-5, but you open it up and you have pretty comparable CX-5 trunk space in here. It's pretty good. It's not incredible, but it's not bad. You've got kind of a firmer privacy cover up here. You've got seats that fold 60-40. You've got a little pass-through back here, which you had in the Alfa as well. And this isn't gonna stay up because I have all this stuff in here, but you see these little fangs here? This will actually rest this bottom piece of your trunk. You've also got grocery bag hangers and an outlet back here. And you do have some more space down here as all my stuff goes crashing. 3, 2, 1. The only thing that annoys me about the trunk is if you just push it, it doesn't work. You have to hold it for half a second. And then into the rear seat. I'm 6'1", behind myself, still have a couple inches of knee room. This is where this does better than the CX30. This actually does pretty similar to the CX-5. And I have decent headroom. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good for something of this class. You've also got vents back here, some chargers, and of course, cup holder. Would like to have that sunroof though. And last thing that we'll talk about is the price. Now, as starting, you can get a Dodge Hornet about $35,000, but as spec'd with your swamp-themed paint and all the other stuff, this thing's about $41,000. So what does that extra jump consist of, Paulo?
We have the blacktop package, which is $2,000. We talked through that. The tech package is $2,250. The blue Bayou paint, $500. And then you do get the sunroof credit, as we mentioned. That's $615 subtraction of that price. So, $41.
Yeah, let's go for a drive.
Hornet launch.
Oh, I heard wheel spin.
Yeah, so did I.
It's got plenty of torque.
I know that the Tonale powertrain had more power than this, but to me this like feels more peppy and like alive,
feels
more
lighter,
spirited.
For sure.
Yeah, lighter.
It definitely is lighter
than that. So I know on paper it's technically has less power, but I mean I know this powertrain has its problems, so maybe we should probably address that real quick. But
yeah.
I do think that it's really peppy, it's engaging, and it drives spirited, which I like.
Yeah, totally. I mean this is positioned itself now as like the sport or performance or fun offering in the segment, because the rest of the segment is like Corolla Cross Hybrid, HRV, like small, affordable econo boxes. This is like, we're gonna get you something. It's gonna be, a little more expensive than those, but we're gonna give you some like real power and performance. But yeah, for me, with this powertrain, I have two problems. One is what it does when you lift off throttle, especially in low speed situations, like around parking lots, around people. When I'm lifting off, I'm not like flooring it or anything, mind you, but when I'm lifting off, I think the turbo is still spooling and it's still feeding power into the engine somehow, or I don't know what exactly is going on, but like when I lift off, it continues to accelerate for like another 1.5, 2 seconds. And it's just uncomfortable around human beings.
Yeah, I agree, and I experienced it as well. And like, it's not like it's for an extended period of time, but it's enough to make you a little bit concerned and just question how much boost is staying in that turbine.
Yeah, I've experienced this one other time. I forget what it was, but it's not a great feeling, especially in those low speed situations when you're around other people. But the only other thing that I had an issue with this powertrain was the start stop.
Yeah, and I did as well. It's just a bit jerky. It's like when you're first trying to learn stick and you try and pull off in first, and
yeah, you almost have to like take your foot off the brake, let the engine kick back to life, then get onto the power. Because if you try to go straight from brake to throttle, it's like clunking and like, very jerky. So those are my only two issues with the powertrain. Other than that, it's got loads of torque. It's pretty quick, 6.5 seconds to 60, almost 300 pound-feet of torque. It feels fun. I do wish it had shift paddles though. Like this is supposed to be the sporty one, right?
Yeah, we were joking like that they only bought a certain amount of material, but they used all the material on the Alphas because they're so big. Paddles. They were like, well, I guess we ran out of material. We just won't give the Hornet any paddle shifters.
Yeah, I think the RT plug-in gets paddles, but I would like to see it here because this is supposed to still be sporty and quick, and it is. And you got the CF9 speed. It's a pretty good gearbox, but I would like to, do it on my own. Aside from that, I think it corners okay. This does not have the adaptive dampers. There's a little bit of understeer on corner entry, but it holds itself pretty flat. It rides kind of stiff. Mm-hmm. And then corner exit, you remember that, it's front wheel drive first because it starts to push when you get on power.
Yeah.
But yes, I think I had one big question, which was like, is the Hornet a discount Tonale or is the Tonale an expensive Hornet?
Yeah.
Like what's the ethos between these two things existing together?
I'll answer your question with a statement that doesn't really answer your question. I would rather buy this than a Tonale. I think save yourself the money, buy this in the hybrid option that you can get.
Yeah.
Although this engine is fun, as we mentioned, I think I'd prefer to get a bit more MPG. This thing's getting 28, which is not bad.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I mean it's not terrible. But yeah, for me, and like it's when you do have the plug-in like fully charged, which is how I would leave my house every day, like it is so much more refined. It's quiet. You're not going to get that like weird turbo spooling issue. You're not going to have a start-stop issue. Like all that stuff kind of goes away, and those are really my only two big issues. So that takes care of itself right there. It is going to be heavier. There's more complexity and all that sort of thing. But I think the sweet spot for me is a Hornet RT plug-in.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I'll say is you get a lot of good standard features on this thing. The digital gauge cluster, the infotainment stack here, it's all really good. I think you're probably going to see a lot of these.
This dog's trying to kill itself.
I know. I was saying, wow, that dog is
into the street.
Trying to run into the street. I think you'll see a lot of these at rental car companies, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I think that they'll do really well there. But yeah, it was really fun doing these cars back to back.
Yeah, I think it was interesting, and it definitely shed some light on the differences. So, yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.